Hello, Next Geners. Welcome to our Thursday form preview show. We're back at Flemington tomorrow, or Saturday, I should say, with the Australian Guineas. It's the first of 3 weeks in a row at Flemington. And we're also at Randwick after, well, more rain. But how good did Randwick play last week? Hayden Byrne, daily sectionals, joins me every week. Geez, it held up well, didn't it? And very elegant, thrived in the conditions.
Super, unbelievable. Who would have thought Friday night, Saturday morning that we'd be racing on any track in Sydney? We've had about 3 years worth of rain in 3 hours, and the track didn't even look like it was a heavy 10 on the visual for the first couple of races. Super day, super card, very elegant. Once again, just better than the rest.
Hinged won the Surround Stakes, beat Espiona and Fangirl. What did you make of that race?
Is it possible that our man Bray could start forgetting about Group 1s that he's won?
Actually, I think he's donated the trophy to the track staff, hasn't he?
He wouldn't have any room. It's just phenomenal. Himself, owners like himself, Aussie, Kerr, etc., etc. They deserve everything they get. They invest their money, their time, and their efforts, and it's great to see them actually get out there and celebrate with the horse as well. So big smile on the face. Another couple of Group 1s. Track unbelievable.
Your thoughts on Espiona, because you mentioned that you wanted to keep an eye on her ducking in towards the fence, Sydney way of going. I'm not as educated as you are when it comes to those sort of things, but it did look like she wanted to lay in a bit, and J-Mac twice or three times tried to straighten her up.
Yeah, she just wants to run around in circles a little bit. When exposed to that high pressure, a little bit concerning, but once again, she's a watch and learn. Racing is a bit of a race at the moment to go out and crown the next champion. The issue that people have got is that the comparables of Black Caviar and Winx and Chautauquas and these sort of, Chautauqua next level down than the others. But when you try and measure horses up to those, typically they're 10 lengths inferior when you make your mind up that they are the next champion. And then you've got to take the champion's price. So it's the sort of thing where you've got to sit back, wait and find out a little bit. And sometimes he who waits longer, his wallet is a little bit better off in the long run. For me, she's a touch concerning at the moment. I'm adamant she hasn't had things go completely to plan. But when things don't go completely to plan and you were beaten, it means you might not be as good as what people think you are.
You talk about superstars. I was pretty confident that Marabi was going to take a ton of chasing down in the Oakley Plate. I mentioned to you that Benny Allen had said that he didn't need a lead. He was happy to take a sit, and didn't it pan out perfectly with, I think it was Malkovich who sped out and went to the lead, and Benny just took a nice trail, kicked away. Great ride. I think the data says that he really got an inch perfect. Away game was coming late, but she was never going to chase down Marabi. That's 7 in a row. Now Group 1 winner. Heads to the William Reid in about a month's time, and then they're going to set their sights on the Sangster in Adelaide, where she'll take a ton of beating in probably both of those races again.
Yeah, phenomenal performance, outstanding ride. May have even bluffed these competitors a little bit. A young man with 0 Group 1s to his name prior to the race might have got into the head of a couple of more senior, more seasoned riders, and may have outbluffed his opponents slightly. Inch perfect ride. A little query on that horse though, if she wants to go big time. So she's got to this level, and it's a very continuous level, but if she wants to go to the next level, she's going to have to learn just to control her energy a little bit better early if she wants to go to the big league, because, she's just out of bullets a little bit late. And I was the opinion that we might be getting to her ceiling, but the option for her to go higher is going to be a little bit more controlled in herself earlier. Not restrained and not ridden for position, but just her racing demeanour over the first, say, 200-300 metres, got to be a little bit more contained. Very similar to Nature's Strip.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that before the show, that her ideal race shape was getting through that first section between a length below and a length above benchmark. I think she might have went 2 lengths above benchmark, so maybe a little bit out of the comfort zone, and she was left wanting a little bit late. But you're right, if she wants to take that up to 1,200 in a race like the Everest, she's still got a little way to go, but she's going to be competitive over 1,200 metres against the mares and against those sort of horses again. You would think Wild Ruler out of the race, retired, off to stud. He did his job as a Group 1 winner. It didn't pan out his way on the weekend. Dormier won the Blue Diamond. I think you were on Revolutionary Miss, who ran second. I was on Jacquino, who ran third. And Blinker's first time. It's a little trick with the Freedmans. They're so good at it. They did it with Artorias last year. They won the Blue Diamond with Lyre 4 years ago, and Hanseatic ran second 3 years ago. So that's how well they go in this race.
Oh, for sure. I made a little bit of an observation from myself. I wonder if we had the time again, whether the 2 horses to the right may have had blinkers on as well. In a head bobbing go. Revolutionary Miss, or whatever her name is, she shuffled Jacquino out into the fast stuff. He got into the supersonic ground and then wanted to duck in the straight and more chase the 2 in front of him. His campaign looked like it ended about 100 metres out from the line. The filly was super. That little discretion on the corner didn't aid her, but I thought that she was there to bury Dormier and she just couldn't get it done either. So limitations in terms of talent. We made mention that anything breaking benchmark over 1,200 would likely win us a lower edition of the Diamond. They couldn't even get to that point. They were okay without being great. They're going to have the opportunity to grow and evolve into themselves as 3-year-olds. It'll be interesting to see what they look like 12 months down the track. But I still, to this point, don't think that crop are much good. I'll be happy to be proven wrong, though.
All right, and in the Futurity Stakes, Sierra Sue got the job done. She's consistently around that +2, and I think she put up that sort of number again to win here. Mwanga maybe a little bit off his normal first up routine, but a good run anyway. Tefane probably flat, didn't really appreciate the race pace. She didn't get it on her terms like she did in the Ore 2 weeks ago. And I'm thunderstruck. Well, he never really got clean air, and he's going to love getting to a mile at Flemington, I think, in the All-Star Mile.
Yeah, I was surprised with the interest from a betting perspective from Iron Thunderstruck, because I really didn't give him much hope. I thought he was on target, not only for an All-Star Mile, but bigger and better things to come later in the spring for him. Mwanga, typical return for him, that sort of race shape, that's all you can really expect. Sierra Sue's gone to her level. Her level was good enough to win. She didn't do anything outstanding or anything outside of her capabilities to win. She was pretty much there, ready to go on the day and honest. Tefane, I think we've been in this position a few times with Tefane, where the previous start's more than good enough to get the job done in the following, and we've just got our fingers burnt off. So, she's still finished in the placing, so it wasn't a total disaster, but it is what it is, I suppose. That's Tefane. You catch her when you can.
She's probably a sneaky each way bet in the All-Star Mile if they go that way, right? Because it was similar last prep, as you mentioned, where she had that big run and then potentially put up a flat run. And then when she got to a mile and everyone was riding her off, I think it was in the Toorak, she put up career best numbers behind I'm Thunderstruck. So maybe we don't write her off going forward. We just forgive that run. A couple of others that you mentioned on the show last week. In the last race against Desert Icon, you thought Criminal Code was a good each-way bet. It ran third. You pretty much declared a Flying Mascot. $1.85, but simply too good there. The first race, Finance Tycoon versus Generation, was an interesting little affair. And then the other one I want to ask you about was Argentia. She just looked like she didn't get much luck, potentially flat from that good performance first up.
Yeah, flattened 100%. There's a little cryptic message in there to just watch this space. I think you questioned me on, I said that Flying Mascot might be ready to take the baton off. Probabeel is one of the, more headline mares from a Victorian perspective, obviously Probabeel being a Kiwi, but when she comes to play here, we get very excited. Argentia 100% flattened off the massive first up performance off the extended break. Very lightly raced as well. There was a bit of chest beating going on about track bias, and everybody wanted to carry on like peanuts early. There's just an obsession at the moment with tracks. It's, if you're outlaying your money on the day and you're going to start carrying on after race 3 about a track, you're going to lose all your money. You're better off just saying, okay, today's not going to be the day for me. You've got a remote control. TVs give you multiple options with channels. Just change it. Better than getting upset. The carry on at the moment is phenomenal. Sit down, be professional, get the job done. That track, it was more quick than it was rail bias. And anytime a track's quick, the fastest way home is always going to be on speed fence. Why? Because everybody in Australia's multi fell over when Argentia got beat. So everyone wanted to carry on like peanuts. How could that horse possibly win? The first races were all race shape. The right horses won those races based on rider tactics and race shape. Generation was way too far from the leader. 10 lengths squeeze through the mid. A 10 length squeeze over a 1,200 metre race is phenomenal.
Yep.
No wonder his petrol ran out late. Couldn't get to the big, you couldn't get to the fast stuff. There was a little bit of wind there too. So all things are going to play in advantage of the front runners. And for those who buy an early or a final edition of our race speed profile, you will see that 50% of the winners anyway, when the rails in that position, come from leader on pace. So 50% have won on the day. So the track's run to its percentages.
Yep.
The other one you want to go back and have a look at is you want to go and do a little replay, and you got to look very, very closely. You watch the horse that Karen McAvoy rode in the Group 1 in the sprint in the Oakley Plate. That horse got bashed from pillar to post. That's one you want to put in your book to follow. That is as black booker as you get.
Menage. All right.
Correct.
Interesting. And you mentioned the first few races there. Castlereagh Kid. If you haven't seen the video that Gay Waterhouse put on Twitter about Castlereagh Kid and giving Ollie a few instructions and chatting to John Singleton about her thoughts for the race and why Flemington would suit, or Caulfield, and she picked it too. She said, it's a fast on-pace track. Ollie put him up the front. Go at the 600. It is great watching. So jump on Gay Waterhouse's Twitter there to watch that. All right, let's look at the Australian Guineas meeting at Flemington. We are expecting a bit of rain Saturday early morning and potentially through the meeting, Hayden. I heard the track manager, Liam O'Keefe, he believes it could be in the soft 7 type of range on race day and potentially worse if they get rain during the meeting. What are you doing your form to?
Well, at the moment, the track's rated a good 4. And it's not going to be the first time that there's been rain predicted and it's been fine over the top of Flemington and it's poured over your place in Geelong. You do your form as it is. You do your form based on talent and ability. And you can make little notes to yourself as you go through your form to say, these are runners that I'm looking at from a pricing and betting perspective. And you can make notes to say, if that track does deteriorate rapidly, do I want to still be with you, or am I going to put you in the rubbish bin for another day? And who are the horses that I may elevate if those conditions prevail? If you try and do form for both surfaces, you're just going to end up confused. You're better off not doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
So my form's done track, and then I got little notes there to say I'm going to elevate you or throw you out.
Okay. Well, let's get your thoughts on the Group 1 Australian Guineas. It's a terrific race now that Profondo's come down from Sydney. We haven't seen him since his spring champion win over 2,000 metres at Group 1 level. Hitotsu resumes, last seen in the VRC Derby in a pretty dynamic win that day. You've got Pinstripe, who's 3 from 3. Pesquero ran second to Pinstriped in the CS Hayes. Forgot You will be one horse that will appreciate any give out of the ground. And Captivant's a horse that we've spoken about leading into both his two lead-up runs, and he comes here third up, having run second to Animo in the Caulfield Guineas. So this is a pretty good addition to the Australian Guineas.
It is. I was quite taken when I looked at this field and thought there was a few interesting little dynamics there with very, very exciting and talented horse in Hitotsu and another one in Profondo. It'll be excellent to see Profondo on the big open spaces of Flemington. What did you make of it? How do you look at a race like this?
Look, you're probably asking me at the wrong time, because I did the form yesterday, and one I wanted to have an interest in each way was Coastwatch. But Coastwatch has actually been scratched. Chris Waller is running him in the Randwick Guineas. So that leaves it wide open. I had a little knock on Profondo first up. I had a little knock on Hitotsu first up. They're talented horses, but I think the race is wide open. So I'm going to take somewhat of a guide off you. I think Captivant's a bit of a chance, but I haven't really dug deep into his soft form. He obviously ran in the Cox Plate, but on a soft track, but that didn't really suit him. I think his other two runs, he ran third to Animo and Halal in a size produce as a 2-year-old, beaten 3 lengths, and his other run on soft was on as a 2-year-old as well. So I'm not sure we've got the all the data there, but interested to get your take. Give me while you're talking, I'll do a minute of form here.
It's a very, very good race. And, it's one of those races where you can be a big fan of Hitotsu or you can be a big fan of Profondo. If you come back one of those two first up in a race like this and they get beat, you're going to feel pretty stupid. Profondo just looks like he oozes talent. He looks like he just looks like a genuine Group 1 horse. Very hard to ignore. His visuals outstrip his analytical talent to this point, but from an analytical perspective, he's a horse at 100% just mark with no ceiling, high talent. Yeah. This man, Mr. Kieran Maher, and his sidekick, David Eustace, pushing freak level with things that they can do with horses. You couldn't have backed this horse in a million years going into a derby off pure form, off a win at Donald and then a good performance. It's over 1,600 at Caulfield and then showing up 21 days later into a derby third run for the campaign, 6th career start, and just winning for fun, basically, didn't it? High talent. Once again, he's got the number in the Guineas to say that he could go to this level and win a race like this. But first up, 126 days off a Derby 3-year-old, big ask. But the thing with him is he has the talent to do it. So does Profondo. So they're a real, you've really got to make your own mind up if your money's going in either direction there. Captivant, 2 runs back for the campaign. Both been super from a fitness perspective. Grand final trainers once again, Peter and Paul. Jamie goes on board. He looks like he can elevate close to the level required to win. I don't think he's going to go to that big Guineas number. He was trending probably 2.5, maybe even 3 lengths better this time last year. Okay, he hasn't had the race shape to stamp him in that range. So the Rose Hill performance, 2.6 lengths above IVR benchmark, for me is about the ceiling for him where he'll get to. It'd shock me if he went past that. I just don't see 4 to 5 lengths of improvement. The race shape's going to give him the opportunity to find those 3 lengths. So for me, he's a solid top 3 player. Forgot You, high talent. Zara, ideal. Another one who can get to that level. That 2.5 seems to be within his reach. then you got some question marks about horses like Ranch Hand, Lightsaber, etc., etc. The horse who I'm a little bit neutral on still is Pinstriped.
Yep.
But he's the sort of horse where if this track got into the S7 range, he would almost elevate to top billing for me. I think he's an outstanding wet tracker. So I'll be interested to see track conditions because the track will determine where he sits with me. So for me, I was Captivant, to me, was the logical from a first three perspective, not necessarily on top, but from a first three perspective, I thought he was there. From the two stars in Profondo and Itatsu, and I got the watch runner as Pinstriped.
What have you got, Captivant, soft track wise?
Oh, the track will be pretty vital for him. He's got, anything outside of soft 6, and I'll have question marks on him. I'd probably have him in the rubbish bin.
Is it potentially one of those races where you don't bet because of so many unknowns? Hitotsu first up, Profondo first up. They're both so unknowns that they could actually fill 2 of the placings, or they could both need the run.
If this track rapidly deteriorates and we get some serious rain and we get the real genuine soft pushing H8, I would be pretty keen to get involved with Pinstriped.
Okay. That makes sense.
If it stays the way it is, I can be confident in terms of the top 3 position once I finalise everything that Captivant can press that. But there's only 3 spots on the podium, and there's probably 5 live chances.
All right, I want to ask you about the Blamey Stakes next up. This race deserves a bit of time spent on it. Zaaki comes down from Sydney. We see him first up, his first run since he won the McKinnon Stakes, and he's basically had a faultless 6 months, put aside that third to Probabile in the Caulfield Stakes, and then obviously was meant to run in the Cox Plate and Scratch, but won the McKinnon, won the Underwood, won the Tramway. Obviously, we know what he did in Queensland, that prep before. The interesting runner, I think, is Inspirational Girl, who we marked as one to follow out of the All Stakes. Just did some nice work at the back of the field, along with I'm Thunderstruck in that All Stakes. And Danny O'Brien's just given her the extra week leading into this. And it's Blinker's first time, Winker's off, Bubble Cheeker on the offside first time. Maybe you can tell punters what the Bubble Cheeker means. So Zaaki and I'm Thunderstruck, Zaaki and Inspirational Girl are 2 of the main chances there. And then you've got Corner Pocket, who continues his winning ways, along with Mr. Brightside and King Magnus. Those 2 horses are guaranteed a spot in the All-Star Mile already.
Zaaki, let's be realistic. Track's no worse than an S6. What price is he?
Good question. I'll get that up now, but I'd say he'd have to be around the $2 mark, wouldn't he? He's $2.10.
I'd be shocked if he was black figures. Oh, I'd be shocked. He'd have to parade pretty poorly to start black. He would. Reality?
He just wins, right?
He's had... What's he had? He's had 9 starts in Australia. 8 of them would probably win easily. Good luck to the rest. Good luck to the rest if he even thinks about it. 210 might be a gift. In all honesty, just might be a gift. People aren't going to get silly and say, start talking about rubbish like Barrier 1, are they?
No, I don't think so. And the worst ground he's been on in Australia. He ran a soft 6 in the Doncaster on his Australian debut, and then a soft 6 on the Gold Coast. So have you got any exposure there on soft 7 or worse?
I was that day where he ran behind Cascadian, Ice Bath, Dalasan, etc. In his first Australian start. He went 1.1 lengths above the IVR benchmark, 14th best of the day overall. And that track on the day was genuine soft. It was wet. And he was home 0.8 slower than Masked Crusader on the same day. Race prior, Masked Crusader went 9 lengths below benchmark through the first section, as did Zaaki. Zaaki broke dry track benchmarks last 200. So in terms of acceleration, etc., not a problem in the world. The horse will get through soft 6, soft 7 ground. Heavy starts to get unknown. You're taking a little bit of a guess. Third fastest last 200 of the day, 12th fastest last 400 of the day, 5th fastest last 1,000. So all-round effort. The peak numbers for the day, 1,000, 1,200 came from Natoya. That's a jet. Cascadian, Ice Bath were all in the top for last 1,000s, last 12s. Fastest all day home was Masked Crusader behind Nature Strip. Horse is a jet. If he goes to the front, runs +4, who beats him?
No one. Obviously, Inspirational Girl's got outstanding numbers from her peak back in Perth, but this is she's only had 2 runs in 14 months, I think.
Correct. So for me, he's really difficult to beat. Tick from the parade game on. He might just beat them up and win an All-Star Mile in a fortnight's time. Inspirational Girl, this is her D-Day for me. If that track's dry, track wet, rubbish bin, track dry, I want to see a big finish from her. I want to see her highballing down the outside. So for me, they're the only 2 horses I'm interested in, not interested in the rest.
All right, let's roll through the rest of the card at Flemington, and then I'll get your thoughts on the Randwick Guineas. And we've got the Challenge Stakes and the Canterbury Stakes also in Sydney worth mentioning. But race 1 is a 2-year-old race. Do you want to spend much time on that?
Yeah, Mumbai Jewel comes down from Sydney. Looked impressive when winning last start at Randwick over 1,100. It's got some straight line speed. Not convinced back to the 1,000s ideal, but I think they need to run somewhere. So, this is just where it's going to be. Some well-bred horses down the bottom who have skipped Blue Diamond paths, whether they weren't ready or not. But I'll be interested to see, there's some big players down the bottom, your Moody's, your Mars, your Price Kents, your Neeshams, your Hawks, your 2-year-olds. Are they here to have a little dry track squirt around and maybe go and have a look for a slipper? Big watch race for me.
All right, so not betting there.
No, but don't have your lunch. Make sure you're sitting there watching it. Very important.
Okay. Race 2, 2,600 metres, Roy Higgins quality. We were on Crystal Pegasus last start. We'll start here at $1.75 from Tiger at $4.80 and playoffs at $7.50.
Yeah, Crystal Pegasus got the job done. J-Mac, too good, sprinted sharply over 2,000 metres, steps up to 2,600, a little bit of an unknown. Good acceleration late last 200. Suffered a slowdown between the 4 and the 2. He floated a little bit, J-Mac, and thought he had him covered and had to rouse him up late to run him down. His last 200 was very good, gives you the indication 2,600 will be no problem. J Carr on board, all good. Interesting runner, Tiger, Baggett winner, capable of massive mid-race squeezes. It's a Z. So very elegant is a Z. There's not too many Zs around. Tiger's a Z and he's a stayer. He'll stay all day. D. Oliver, ideal rider for a horse like him. Big watch runner for me, Tiger. I want to see where he's really at. Very difficult to come off a Baggett reset for the campaign and win. So question mark with that. Last run says he can do it. Playoffs is the big improver.
Okay, not betting by the sounds of it.
Nope.
Race 3 is the Resimax Group benchmark 90. Rose Quartz is $2.35. Bermudez $5. Rainbill $8. Evening Glory $9. Bonds Abroad $9.50.
Yeah, been beating up the plotters. Rose Quartz gets a better field here. Been racing well though. Nice horse, bright future. Both most recent starts, 11 and 1200 metres, been very, very strong through the mid. 4.5 length, 5 length squeezes off good early speeds. Big, strong, sustained last 600 says there's more to come. Both runs very similar, 0.4 and 0.3 above IVR benchmark. May have to go to a new level to win, but he'll get the right race shape to do it. Tactical straight line speed tick for the Flemington straight. Evening Glory is a horse who showed it a lot. Don't think it's delivered in terms of a PB as yet. Still got it a little bit untapped. Got high level straight line speed. Flemington will suit. J Carr will suit that horse also. Superium is flying. McNeil Hawks ready to run a big race. Would not surprise me at all if it knocked these over. McNeil's got to be smart from a tactical perspective and he can't fall asleep through the mid. That was the question mark I had with it. If the heavens open, Rainbill gets elevated.
Not betting.
Maybe.
Okay, race 4, Tresaday Stakes. Cirileo Miss is $3.60 from Anna Visto at $4.80. Electric Girl 9, Zoo Dancer 9, Exalita 9, and Jal Lay at $9.50.
A couple of good friends of the show here. Anna Visto is a good friend of the show. Exalita. You know, I'm a very big fan of Vespertine. I'm going to find out what she's made of. She'll start big price Vespertine. You're got seat 1A in the Quantum Mechanic fan club. She goes around here. Electric Girl's always a runner who's dangerous in these sorts of races. You get some Sydney horses down, bring the ransom, more profits, etc. And good friend of the show, Mr. Nathan Bennett, stable change, Zoo Dancer goes to D. O'Brien, J. Allen on board. She resumes here. Very interesting race. How did you see this one?
Well, I think Cirileo Miss is just a really consistent mare, isn't she? And she's only had 2 runs on the soft, so that's a little bit of a question mark. But you seem to think these horses trained in Warrnambool just should love the wet. But I think she's just a really consistent mare.
She no problem in the wet. Anything in that soft range, you're good to go. Very consistent horse. Linda on board. She'll press forward. She'll be hard to beat. Anna Visto, dangerous in races like this. I think she's the one to catch from the front. I'll be interested to see what tactics are employed here by Jamie, whether she lets Linda roll across or, hold that lead position, or whether Jamie wants to go and take it up. Might be a little bit of cat and mouse there between the girls. But it was a very technical race and very strategic, and the strategic boys might have a little bit of an edge. I landed on more profits at a big price. Thought this was right race shape for her. So she was just, the price got me a little bit. I was a bit taken with her. I thought there was a lot to like. Anna Visto, obviously the one to run down. Electric Girl's another one. Ollie, tactical race shape. He's going to be right in the A1 position here. She's one that you can look at, 1x4 style of play. You know, she's going to be there somewhere. And my big watch horse here is Vespertine.
Okay. But more profits might be a little each way bet.
Possibly.
All right, the English Sprint, 1,200 down the straight, overpass, $2.25 as been in really good form, beating Forbidden Love first up, and we saw what Forbidden Love did last week, and then ran second to Lost and Running. So that's really good form at $2.25. Able Willie for Chris Waller at 5. Shadow Devil 7. Sneaky 5, $7.50. And David Eustace mentioning this mare on radio or 3-year-old filly, I should say, as certainly one who might be over the odds.
Yeah, and she's. I just made a little comment next to her that she does have some X factor. So certainly a horse I would rate as untapped at this point. No ceiling on, and a big watch runner for me. Josh Parr needs to be on the ball here. If D Lane was on this, I'd be chips in. Is an ideal horse for a D Lane. Josh Parr's got to be on the ball here. First section vital. If he lands on the bunny and they just follow him, and they're middle to the outside, he's just has to squeeze him through the mid, and they're not going to get him. So he's a big watch runner, hard to beat, going to be very hard to catch. If he goes too hard early and Josh Parr wants to pull the brakes on, I'll just swamp him and kill him. So you're going to know 600 out where your money is, if it's confetti in the rubbish bin or whether you're going to be collecting it. But he's a dangerous horse. Able Willie's a big watch runner from the Waller camp. He sort of promised the world, Willie, but hasn't delivered on it as yet. Flemington's going to suit his straight line speed horse. Good tactical move here by Waller bringing him here. Spellcatcher, very talented. Ben Mellum could win on anything at the moment. He's back big time. Dangerous runner, can play a role, as can the other one, D. Oliver Mark, Newnham, Shadow Devil. Good race.
All right, I'll be having a smaller win, bigger the place on Sneaky 5. I think she's definitely a filly on the rise, and her first up win at Caulfield, while I don't think she broke IVR benchmark, or she might have, I think she was within a length of IVR benchmark, but her data, her last 400 meters was very sharp. As you said, she's got some X factor, and I think she'll appreciate the straight. So I'm going to have a smaller win, bigger the place on Sneaky 5. We've mentioned the Blamey Stakes. We've mentioned the Australian Guineas, the Bob Hoisted ATA 1,000 meters, Malkovich 460, Maliva $6, Brooklyn Hustle 7, Enthar 7, Sword of Mercy 750. Go down to It's Me, worth mentioning. Obviously had that really long break and resumed at Randwick on the 12th of Feb.
Question. Enthar, is she sevens into $3 and wins, or is she sevens out to 11s and gone at the 200?
I think the latter. I thought she was going to be way too good last start when she jumped to $1.45. I thought Caulfield was probably more her go, where she could just sit on the pace and use that on that firm track and kick away at the turn. But I think they're really struggling to harness her through that first section and really get her using her assets the way they need to be used to be winning. So I'm knocking Enthar. What about you?
I don't disagree with you. She's very difficult, very easy to mark on top if you're tipping. You're going to throw your tips in the newspaper. She'd be very easy to mark on top. If you're going to put your hand in your pocket, draw out your wallet, very different story. So she's a little bit of not 100% yet with me. Really want to go down and see from a race shape and tactical point of view how fast she's going to have to go to control things up front, and whether Linda's just going to pull on her head the whole way and not let her use her assets. Hopefully Linda just lets her flow.
Well, Linda's the right jockey for her, right?
I'll just leave that to you.
Okay.
The boy who is the right rider's Lane, and he goes to Sword of Mercy. I was taken by its first up performance, or her first up performance at Caulfield. I was very taken by her late acceleration, her sustained speed late.
Yeah.
I think she's ready to go back to the high end of her profile. So little challenge back to the 1,000, but she still should have that sustained speed early. And if they hang to the middle, she'll get the ideal race shape. So I was taken by that runner from an each way perspective, thought it would be there somewhere. Malkovich, dangerous runner under these circumstances, jump, run, might put Enthar into a zone that she doesn't really want to be. Not the easiest thing in the world to do, back up off an Oakley plate off 7 days. Those who sit up the front in Oakley plate, they get quite taxed. In the last 200 of Malkovich suggested that, the run would have been somewhat painful. And then you go back into the historics and you say, okay, I really can't see you off that level of pain being successful doing this in the past. So a little bit of watch this space, mounting yard, et cetera, et cetera. It's a sort of runner where if there's a little bit of, if the rain hits, Malkovich will spike in your rating because they'll go a lot slower through the first section. And if he has got a bit of vulnerability with some flatness, he'll get through that in terms of speed. So might be looking for the rain. Other than that, if they come down the middle, it will highly advantage horses like Tracking and Brooklyn Hustle. So I was those horses from the that were going to be dangerous in front. I wanted to be in front because I thought they would come down the middle to the outside. Very hard to run them down. Sword of Mercy, Malkovich, Tracking, Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm with you on Sword of Mercy. I thought her first up performance was very impressive as well. One you didn't mention, though, was Maliva, who's second in the market at $6. I think she's just a really consistent mare. She clearly likes the straight. She won on the soft at Caulfield 16th of October. I don't think it was really soft that day actually, that might have been Caulfield Cup Day. So I think it got wet by the end of the day, but she will appreciate the wet.
Oh, for sure. Especially the rating that I expect this track to get to. It was the sort of race where I sat there and I had little question marks next to all banter. Maliva, I've mentioned multiple times that Maliva was a horse who I don't think we've got a ceiling on her as yet. Yeah. Even a horse like It's Me, I think I was banging on last campaign about this would just be a brilliant horse to see at Flemington. High level straight line speed horse. Whether she's the same horse what she was, yet to be seen. So she just sits in the risk basket for me until she proves that she is. 500 days, this might just be a tick over campaign and see you next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, for me, just keep Maliva on side because I don't think 1200 really suited her last start. I think she prefers that shorter course and she does like the wet if the heavens open up. Race 9 is the Schweppes Plate, benchmark 84 handicap. Not an easy way to finish the day at Flemington. Well, it might be if Yonce gets the job done, 4 from 4, but Gentleman Roy's been in similarly good form and was a bit of a giant killer, beating Tuvalu last start. Basawa is $7, Savannah Cloud $7.50.
Yeah, I was lucky because I was prepared to get stuck into Roy last start. And I was lucky that I went away and did my work and said, no, I can't, because it was a systemic decline over the course of the day, not an individual decline late. So he didn't go into the rubbish bin and he actually ended up rating quite high on the day. I'm very convinced that Yonce is a good horse. Not only do I think she's a good horse, I still got her no ceiling. And I expect her once again to go past these horses. These are your benchmarky sort of horses. They're going to get their opportunity in very weak listed level, but that's about them. This horse could jump into the low tier group racing quite easily. I was really taken by a performance over a mile last start at Flemington. she's won 4 races in a row. It's very difficult to win 4 races in a row. It's extremely difficult to win 5. So there's that little query with that. But there's nothing to suggest that A, she's come to the end of the campaign, and B, that you've hit a mark yet with her. So you can be very confident taking her last start figure into this, which would nearly put her on top just off a number. So for me, she's the one to beat clearly.
No exposure on the wet?
She doesn't have any exposure on the wet. So that will be the keep your money in your pocket scenario. Gentleman Roy, he can go around once again. He can get back to that level, which is going to make him competitive. Nakoni Vito is a very, very consistent horse and a very good horse. He can play a role, as can Basawa, who was excellent. Did it quite tough at Morphettville last start over a mile. Big squeeze through the mid, sat wide. Then suffered a slowdown when scouted really wide around the corner and sustained its speed late when you would expect a drop off a 7-length squeeze, which took its mid-race pace to 6.3 lengths above and went via the car park in order to win. So watch runner there, talented, can measure up to these. And the one that you can put a little asterisk next to in any conditions, but if it rains, it leaps, and it might be the big blowout for the day, and the quaddie killer will be Omudgy.
Okay, put Omudgy in your quaddies, punters. Let's have a look at some of the big races at Randwick. Race 5 is the Challenge Stakes. Nature Strip $1.65 versus Eduardo at $2.40. Then you're down to $26 for Splintex and September Run. Remark resumes for the Arrowfield team. Trekking's also in this race, a dual nom at both Flemington and Randwick, but it looks a race in 2, and we mentioned how good Nature Strip returned last start. Probably should have beaten Home Affairs, and he's going to take serious beating here.
He will. And I think he's returned this campaign with a little bit of petrol in the tank. Not as forward as what he normally is. He's an elite wet tracker. He's a mud runner, Nature Strip. So don't worry about any conditions. Will not be a viable excuse for him, and he will improve off the first up run. So game on for him once again. J-Mac back on board. Very important. He draws outside of Eduardo, which is vital for him. J-Mac can just jump and roll, do things on his own terms. Eddie, no problem at all with Eddie. He's a mud runner as well.
Yep.
Both have got high wet track indicators to say that conditions aren't going to be a problem. They're going to both sit hard on speed. Remark, whether he goes here or he goes to the other race, Remark's a fascinating runner. I expected a lot from him. I think he had some issues when he failed last campaign. He comes back. I'm looking for a big performance from him, and I've got no interest in anything else in the race.
Yep. Would you bet a strong Nature Strip over Eduardo, or should it be more the $1.90 each?
Oh, nah. No, he's clearly better than the other one.
Okay.
He's should be favourite Nature Strip. It'll only take rider error, I reckon, for Ed to be able to beat him. It'll be rider error, but I think they got a lot on the rest. So expect the two to go to war. Tactics will be fascinating.
All right, let's flick across to, there's some good races, but let's flick across to race 7, the Canterbury Stakes. Forbidden Love backs up after her lovely win last week. Lighthouse is here, Law of Indices, Private Eye, Special Reward, Dallasan, Wild Planet, Dice Roll and Colding. Zaaki obviously scratched to run in the Blamey. Your thoughts here?
Difficult race from a betting perspective. Forbidden Love is a mud runner. Interesting to back up. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. 2 continuous heavy track performances in 7 days, but it swims. Lighthouse will get through the conditions, not a problem in the world. Smart move to go there. JMac Ideal. Special reward is Airborne. Dalasan is a super interesting runner because he's a dead set mud runner. Dalasan's issue is he's not a first up. He doesn't have a first up profile. If he had anything from a first up profile from mine, I'd be looking to bet with him. I just can't find it. I've got to go right back 2019 at Morphettville when he's jumped on very testing conditions, best of the day performance. That's how far back I've got to go to find it. He's got performances over 1,200 at Caulfield. They're going to put him in that half above, and I want the number to say I can stamp you to go 2 above here and win. So I'm confident that Lighthouse can go there. I'm confident that Forbidden Love can go back there, as can Special Reward. Fascinating running here. Fascinating. Law of Indices. I think it's a star. I mentioned it last year when it went around in the mile. I want to see this horse run around. I mean, it make me very nervous to bet against it. Not 100% don't have full confidence with it in the conditions. If it was a dry track, I'd be having a very different discussion with you. Very interested to see how it goes around. Good race. You could make a realistic case up for most of them, including Private Eye, but once again, first up profile is not that solid. And the other one was Wild Planet, who's a swimmer, but he seems to be trending 2 lengths inferior to what he can produce.
Yep.
Tough race to bet in.
All right, let's have a look then at the Randwick Guineas. Animo $1.75. This has been his target all prep, and he was outstanding last start. Holding off Halal, who's the 3rd favourite at $6. The one in between them is Converge at $5.50, War Eternal 13, and Coast Watch at 23.
What do you make of his last start?
Oh, I thought it was a good second up performance when you consider that his target is 3rd up here. I think it's the right I think he got the right race shape to really elevate 3rd up here.
I think he's flying. I think that was merely a trial, the last start. There was a lot to say through the first up run at Rose Hill that he'd returned better, like career best order. And I think that most recent run gave him the opportunity not to have the big gut buster. You know, he had to have the big gut buster last campaign. Was at the Golden Rose where he went 5.5 above, second up and beaten in the Golden Rose. And he had to sustain that going through the Guineas at Caulfield and then onto a Cox Plate. You know, and put together 3 consecutive runs in excess of 5 lengths above. He hasn't had to do that this campaign. He's been able to, get through and build from a fitness perspective. Is there any chance of $2 or not?
There would be. I think so. I think, I think he opened $2. He's into $1.75, but seeing the odd person on Twitter want to lay him. So there's probably as many knockers as there are backers.
Yeah, well, he might go into the Zaaki camp.
Yeah. Little multi, you reckon?
Yeah, but collect your multi and then make a decision whether you got the guts to put it all on. Have your multi if you like, but most likely when you have your multi, you get unders into unders. So Hayden
tells everyone Zaaki into Animo, multi him up.
Oh, and then now I'm going to look like a real genius at the end of the day too, aren't I?
Well, you're looking at nearly $4 for the double.
Oh, yeah. Imagine the feedback you get from that. That's not getting posted.
Do you reckon $4? That's 1 in every 4 times both of them win on the same day.
Oh, Yeah, and what was it last week? 6.5 kilos was the equivalent to nothing.
Yeah, I was in the Marabi camp.
Equivalent to zero.
You wanted to take her on last week.
No, I didn't.
No, I think you tipped Wild Ruler as an each-way play and you put him into retirement.
I retired the poor bugger. He's a good friend of the show, Wild Ruler. We should go out to Newgate one day and interview him.
Absolutely. Henry Fields, a good friend of the show too. So Animo $1.75, you could take him for the win, but is there anything at a bit of value that you could think might fill the placings?
I've got Animo, and the word I've got written next to Animo on a piece of paper here, right here, is no for whatever your next question was going to be.
Yeah. Okay.
Halal, yeah, clearly second best runner in the race. Think his last start was I don't think he should have got as close as what he did. I don't think he was like a good thing beaten or anything, or the rightful winner won. In terms of if there's a big blowout, if something silly happened, you're asking horses to go anywhere between 2 and 4 lengths into the PB range, or the big boy to just completely go terribly. Military Expert, maybe. But I just can't entertain anything else. To be honest with you, Halal and Converge are just beautiful B graders who will win their races and have successful careers doing other things.
Yeah. And I thought Coast Watch was a horse. If he ran in the Australian Guineas, I thought his first up run gave him a platform to elevate second up here, but it's a different story up against Animo, whereas in the Australian Guineas, I was looking for something to probably knock off for Totsu and Profondo first up over the mile. So maybe just watch on Coast Watch and see where they decide to head next.
Oh, he's not hopeless. He's not hopeless. I do apologise to him. He's a runner you could possibly entertain. And although he hasn't been on a bottomless track, which many of them haven't, he has been on a track with a little bit of give. He's got a big WTI next to his name. But we're talking about a track that was in the S5, S6 at very, very worst range. Any others on the day were... I've got a little watch runner for you. This again, if we're talking dry track, I'd be having a very different conversation with you. There's a runner that you need to watch in the 2-year-old race called Greece. Put the big circle around that one. That was a winning trial. And the slip is still open. So I'll be interested to see A, how it performs, and B, what decisions Mr. McDonald make, and if he has made decisions already. Because he's got the logical favourite in the race already. The horse that ran second to it at the Gold Coast, Magic Millions, goes around Russian Conquest, whatever its name is. Expect it to run well. So put your little highlighter around Greece, because if I've seen a horse that could win a slipper off a trial, that's not borderline impossible to do, but I think it's talented. Custodian's another horse you want to keep an eye on from a slipper perspective, so put those two into your little black book. No Compromise is dead set ready in race 4. Mighty Beale one like Farlat. No Compromise might get it swing into his favour ever so slightly. And the other one you want to put your little highlighter through was in race 6, you want to put your little watch on a horse called, I've lost this one. Marzu, enormous first up.
Yeah.
Enormous. Horse going places. Profiteer, D-Day, gets his right race. If he ventures up there, if he could possibly get there through the floods. So if he can swim up there and he makes it, he'll get there. And then when everybody's looking to make some money at the end of the day, I think Polly Gray might be pretty dangerous.
Loves the wet track, doesn't she?
Loves it. Right race, right field, right set of circumstances, perfect rider.
All right, mate. I think that covers all bases. So Zaaki, Animo, punters. We're going to double that up into a multi. Hayden's giving us the tick of approval. Our golf day, less than 2 weeks away. So let me know, Thursday, March 17 at Yarra Bend. If you're not a golfer but want to come for lunch around 2:30, 3 o'clock and hear some of the trainers ahead of the All-Star Mile, let me know. We also have a mini golf option for those who don't like playing golf, but it'll be a good day. Been putting together some show bags with some next gen of racing branding. It's going to be a great day, Hayden. Hurry up and get your mates to let us know whether they're coming or not.
Will do, mate. Looking forward to it.
Do we need to mention any of them now to pull their finger out of their backside?
No, definitely not. They'll come good.
All right. Good to chat, Hayden. Good punting on the weekend, mate. Enjoy Guineas Day in 2 states, and let's hopefully find a few winners.
Enjoy, mate. Bye for now.
See you, buddy.